All right, for more on the Edmonton Oilers, another loss in Florida, another loss after they had the lead. Here's Dave Poulin, our NHL analyst. Dave, things started to seem like they were looking good for Edmonton. They go on the road now. We're back in the loss column twice, and Stuart Skinner struggles against Tampa, giving up a lead, and now Calvin Pickard struggles against the Panthers. We know they've already sent Jack Campbell to the minors. We've also heard, and Pierre LeBrun has talked about it, Edmonton, out there looking for goaltenders. Has the time come? Do they have to actually address this situation and go out and get someone new?
I believe they do, Jay. And I think the steps they went about are, that's the way to do it. That would be protocol. Jack Campbell didn't work out. You sent him down to the minors. But Stuart Skinner played 9 of the last 10 games. So you knew fatigue was going to set in at some point. Calvin Pickard comes up. A career, basically he's had 1 year as a starter in the National Hockey League. He's played 116 games in 10 seasons. And he starts pretty well tonight. He makes a couple big saves. And Jay, there was a save right before the first goal that he made. And you're like, okay, he made a save at a timely part of the game. But then he let in a couple, and you wouldn't say, well, the game was totally on him, but they needed a save at a critical time. And they simply didn't get it. His one season as a starter was in 2016-17. His last game in the NHL, he played 3 games with the Red Wings in 21-22. But you do roll that dice. He's in the organization. You give him that opportunity. But I think they do have to go out and address this on a grander scale. They got the new coach bump, Jay. They got those 2 wins when the new coach came in. Then they lost 1. Then you look at the first game after a new coach loses, see what happens. Hey, tough road trip. They're getting Florida. Florida's got Montour and Ekblad back in the lineup. And, they played 2 good teams in Tampa and Florida. But I do think they will have to go into the market for a goaltender.
And, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl suffering through the worst scoring slumps of their careers. And this is obviously the worst possible time this can happen. We've talked a lot about McDavid potentially still being injured, but out there kind of gutting it out. Dave, are you seeing anything from these guys, these 2 superstars, that would make you think that they're about to possibly break out of this?
And slumps are relative. McDavid just under a point a game. Now, he operated at 1.87 points per game last year on his way to, the Hart and the Art Ross and the Rocket, all those fancy awards. I did see a good game from both of them tonight. And here's the luxury and the curse that Chris Knobloch has, the new coach. Do you put them together? And he put them together. So, you think about all these, between the 2 of them, all these Harts and Art Rosses that they have, and they're going to produce. McDavid scored actually a Draisaitl-like goal early in the game from Draisaitl's place down by the goal line. Then he gets a penalty shot goal, and they played fine tonight. They had chances. And then they get 2 power plays in the third period. And it's a luxury that the coach has to put them together. But when you put them together, they have to produce. That line has to produce. And as much as you can produce a couple of goals tonight, it doesn't get it done because you don't get the timely save. So a real challenge for Edmonton right now with deploying their superstars and getting maximum production from them. They're so spoiled normally. And right now, they're not doing it at the highest level.
I'll tell you who is doing it at the highest level. That's William Nylander. Sweden could not have been better for Willie Nylander. The point streak is intact. Points in 17 games to start the season. Conveniently in a contract year. Pierre LeBrun had an interesting article in The Athletic on Monday. He polls other GMs. He says, where do you think the Nylander contract will land? And the David Pastrnak deal at about 11.25 on the AAV seemed to be the consensus. Dave, do you like that number for Nylander?
I think he'll get there, and I don't know why you leave the locker room to get your comp. And because you could just look over at Mitch Marner, same position, same team, same circumstances for the last 5 years. And over those 5 seasons, this one included being the 5th, he's earned $4 million a year more than Nylander has. So is it Nylander's turn to truly get paid? I think that's your comp. I don't think you go to another organization. The issue is here, Jay, you've got an internal cap and you've got the external salary cap. And the Leafs have built an internal cap that revolves around their 4-star forwards. And that's the problem they have, is you could argue, well, that's their comp level. Nylander, by far the least paid of those 4 players over the last 5 seasons. So is it his turn? He's producing at an incredibly high rate, and he's doing it with an unflappable nerve, if you will, which is William Nylander. It doesn't look like it's going anywhere. It only looks like he's getting better. He's taking over games right now, and he is one of the best players in the NHL, and he's produced at a high level in the past. So I don't think you have to shop around through other general managers for comps. It was a great piece by Pierre, and I loved someone that said, well, it should be in the 9s. Well, that's wishful thinking, and someone that doesn't have to try and sign William Nylander. He gets paid.
There's no chance it's in the 9s. I agree with you. We've seen a number of high-profile benchings this year. Dave, kind of interesting. And specifically Columbus. We've seen Johnny Gaudreau sitting for a good number of time. And then Patrik Laine, a healthy scratch on Sunday. The Blue Jackets' 3rd highest paid player. He has just 2 goals this season. He's such an enigma, Dave. He's a tough guy to figure out. Do you think this is an effective way to deal with Patrik Laine?
I don't. And I don't know Patrik Laine well, just watch from the outside, but that personality doesn't seem to be one that reacts well to it. Now, it's the biggest tool a coach has. And it is the one tool he has, because in most cases right now with cash-strapped teams, cap-strapped teams, very little movement around the league, you can't just trade a guy because he's not playing well. That's not the way it works. You have to get him to produce. The one tool the coach has, Pascal Vincent is a first-time NHL head coach, is that he can sit a player down. I just don't happen to think that Patrik Laine is the kind of player that reacts to that. I just don't. I don't think you get him mad or angry, and Huberdeau is coming out of it in Calgary, another high-profile benching. I don't think it's because he was benched, but during a game, that's what the coach can do. He's not getting production, and he puts him on the bench. And Huberdeau is going to break out of it at some point, but another personality I don't think is one that gets fired up, if you will, when you sit him down.
Dave Poulin sitting down and delivering for us on this edition of the show. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it.